Greetings. Now, we write a lot of things on a daily basis. We write emails, we write letters, and letter is one of the tasks in IELTS, in general IELTS. So, is there a specific structure that you need to follow? Is there something that you can keep in mind before writing any letters? Let's find out. So greetings and welcome back to another video by OSI's Online IELTS. My name is Anish Patel and I'm the academic head here at OSI's Anand branch. In today's video, like we discussed just a second ago, we are going to learn how to structure your letters, how to write a response step by step, all but within 10 minutes. So it's gonna be real quick. Make sure you have your pen, paper, pencil ready so you can take notes, and then when you finish watching the video, make sure you practice enough so that you learn those skills for a longer period of time. Anyways, so without wasting any time on chit chat, let's just get back to the slides. So as you can see, there is a question over here. It is in bold. It says you just moved to a new city and looking for work. Write a letter to a local employment agency seeking help to find a job. And now there are some instructions as well. In your letter it says introduce yourself, describe the kind of work you are looking for, and describe your skills and experience. Write at least 150 words. Now this is a common instruction in writing task 1 both for general and the academic module. You have to write a minimum of 150 words or else you will lose marks for underwriting. And it also says you do not need to write any addresses, but begin your letter as follows, and it has a little dear sir or madam, and then there is a little comma in the end. So when it says to begin your letter with something specific, sometimes it would say begin with dear sir, sometimes it would say begin with dear ma'am, but sometimes it is like this. It says begin with dear sir or madam. And then sometimes it would be like begin with dear Mr. and then there would be a blank. And then if you're writing an informal letter, it would be again dear and then there is just a blank. So what is the difference going on over here? In the formal letters, it is assumed that you don't know the person to whom you are writing. You don't even know whether that person is a sir or a madam. So that's why you have to write down both. The common mistake that students make over here is that they think that they have to choose one word from sir or ma'am, but it's not so. You have to write down both. And in case of semi-formal letters, what happens is that there is a dear Mr. or Miss or Mrs. whatever, and there is a blank. So you're supposed to add a last name in that blank over there. In case of informal letters, however, what you need to do is just write down the first name after writing either dear or dearest. So anyways, let's get back to the slide and see how to structure the entire response. Alright, so the instructions, as we discussed, it is very clear that we have to start with dear sir or madam. So the first part of any letter, regardless of formal, semi-formal or informal, the very first part is known as your greetings. So now you can see I have written dear sir or madam exactly the way it was written in the instructions. I have also put a comma over here, which is important. You miss these kind of things and you will eventually start losing points for grammatical accuracy. So the next part is the most important part of any letter. Now this is your opening statement, or as I like to call it, it is the main reason why you're writing the letter. So as you can see on the screen, it says I'm writing to request your assistance with finding a job in Toronto. So request your assistance. That is a very formal way of saying that I need your help. So you have to remember throughout the letter that you are writing a formal letter. Your language should be formal here as well. So what is the difference between formal and informal and semi-formal language? Well, if you take a close look, semi-formal and formal language are quite similar. The key things to remember over there is that don't use contractions. So like I said, don't, you have to write do not instead of don't. So cannot instead of can't, and IAM instead of just I''M. So those are the contractions, and you need to avoid them if you're writing a formal or a semi-formal letter. Informal letters, however, you are allowed to write contractions as well, because you have to show that this is informal language. So just make sure that in formal letters, semi-formal letters, and your essays, try not to use contractions, because it makes the language a bit more informal. So anyways, getting back to the slides. Now you can see that the main reason we have already written. It is a must that you have to write the reason very short, because it acts as the subject of the entire content. So if I'm reading the main reason, it should give me enough knowledge as to whether to decide if I need to read this letter right now, or I can wait for a while and read it afterwards. So one bad habit that students have in terms of main reason is that they tend to write long paragraphs over here. No, just treat it as if it is the subject line of your email. You don't really need to mention that this is subject and then underline the whole thing. No, just write a short sentence as to why you're writing, and then just be done with it. And then in the next paragraph, you will address the body points. So all right, getting back to the slides again. As you can see, there are 3 bullet points, so I've decided we are going to write them in 3 separate paragraphs. So the first paragraph is already here. It says, my name is Bilbo Baggins and I am from New Zealand. I recently moved here to study for a master's degree in business management at Ryerson University. So as the first bullet point said, introduce yourself. So over here, another confusion I would like to clear real quick is that a lot of students tend to write their names in the first paragraph in every single letter. They say something like, my name is blah 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 blah, I am from blah 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 blah, and I'm writing this letter to do this and that and this and that, and it turns out to be a very long paragraph. So it just tends to bore the reader out. What you need to do, however, is only write your name or introduce yourself if there is a point in the 3 bullet points that says to introduce yourself. The reason being, you are going to write your name at the end of the letter anyways, so the reader is gonna know who has written the letter. So you don't need to mention it twice unless it says in the instruction that you have to introduce yourself first. So while introducing yourself, also mention where you are from. It just sounds better if it's a slightly longer sentence than just my name is XYZ. Alright, so moving on back to the slides. The next paragraph, as you can see, it addresses the second point. The second point was describe the kind of work you are looking for. So I'm just going to start the paragraph with just being straightforward. No unnecessary information, no chit chat. It is a formal letter, so remember that throughout. It says, I'm looking for a part-time job and I would appreciate if you could help me. So another formal phrase over here is I would appreciate. So instead of saying I want you to help me, it is better to say I would appreciate it if you could help me. Next thing it says, I would like an office job, possibly as an assistant, office administrator, or a typist. I can only work during afternoons and on weekends as my university studies tend to occupy most of my day. So over here, if it was an informal letter, you would have used words such as I'm busy during the days, so I can only work in the evenings and the weekends or anything else. But since it is a formal letter, so you need to get used to writing in a way that you're addressing a higher authority. So anyways, moving on, it says I'm ready to start immediately. So does this accurately describe our second point? Yes, it describes the kind of work that we are looking for. So this is how you structure the paragraph. You stay on point, no unnecessary information, and make sure that your language is formal. So if you need help with deciding what is formal, what is informal, it is very easy to just go online and search for it. There are always definitions of different words. In those definitions, there are some synonyms as well, and there are categories, formal and informal. And even if you just search formal language for IELTS or formal language for English, then you will know what kind of words you are expected to use. There are certain words, I would like to term them as Indianism words. Those are the kind of words that us Indians tend to use a lot, and most of them are very outdated. So I'll be sure to make a list of those words and leave it in the description below so that you know when to avoid them in the letter writing task. Anyways, moving on to the next slide. The last paragraph here, it asks us to describe your skills and experience. So I've started it with a simple sentence over here. Now remember, the criteria is the same as writing task 2. The only difference is task achievement, which we will talk about in a second. But grammatical range and accuracy are exactly important over here, just like the way they were in writing task 2. Now it says, let me explain my background. It is a simple sentence, short sentence. It gives an idea to the examiner as to what to expect in this paragraph. Now it says, I have accomplished a bachelor's degree in business management from Queen's University in New Zealand. Since then, I have worked at various corporate offices assisting in managerial tasks. I am a competent typist and computer literate. I can operate all major computer operating systems, and I also have some experience with database management. So now, you need to be careful with these kind of points. In the second paragraph, it said over here in the second paragraph, the kind of work I was looking for. So I wrote down the position I want and everything. But in the next paragraph, it asked me to describe my skills and experience. Now, those skills and experience have to be relevant to the type of job I'm looking for. So if you have said that I want to be a doctor, and then you say that you're experienced as a typewriter or experienced as a teacher, then it just doesn't make any logical sense. So again, I would like to mention that coherence is also a part of the writing criteria here. So there should be some logical development to the story. So make sure those things match in your letter. So anyways, let's move on to the next thing. It is the second last item, which is known as your closing statement. Now remember, I said statement, so it has to be a single sentence. As you can see on the screen, it says, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Now, before writing a closing statement, what you need to do is read the entire letter. When you read it, you will know the purpose, the entire story, why you wrote it in the first place. So if I'm applying for a job at some place, or if I'm asking for someone's help, I'm gonna be expecting a response. I would like to know what they think about my profile. When can they be able to find me a job and all that? So that is why I wrote, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Sometimes some people just write it blindly. They say looking forward to see you, but it's not like I want to see that employment agency right now. I just want them to find me a job. So make sure again your closing statement matches with the situation that you were talking about earlier. So it has to be different in all the different kinds of letters, and then it will always depend on the situation of the whole topic question, the letter question. So anyways, to the last point, as you can see, I've already written it over here. It says yours faithfully, there's a comma there, and in the line below it says my first name and last name, Bilbo Baggins. So again, be careful that that name matches the name that you wrote in the introduction. When you introduced yourself, if you used a different name, and then when you are signing off, if you're using a different name, that would not make any logical sense. So some students, however, they are confused when to end with faithfully, when to end with sincerely. So I have a quick formula. If you're writing a semi-formal letter, S for semi-formal, S for sincerely, F for formal, F for faithfully, and I for informal, and I can do whatever the hell I want in informal letters. So that's something you can remember. In informal letters, you can basically end with anything that you want. You can just write your friend and then write your first name, or you can say yours and just write it, or you can also end it with regards and put in your first name over there. Sometimes if the situation calls for it, if you've written a letter to your friend wishing him a Merry Christmas or something like that. So we all know Christmas occurs in the colder months of the year. So you can also say warm wishes and then you write down your first name. So that will make it a bit festive. It will match with the context that you're writing and everything. So the letter that we saw today is a formal letter. The structure of semi-formal and informal letter is also similar. The greeting part is different, the sign-off is different, and in terms of informal letters, even the language is a bit different, but the structure stays the same. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something out of it. If you didn't, make sure to re-watch it, read the paragraph closely so you'll get a deeper idea as to how to structure the response. So anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, like our videos, share it with other students, give us feedback in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe our channel so that you don't miss any important updates in the future. Thank you for watching.